हेलो बच्चों, वेलकम बैक टू योर course classes. So today again we will learn about living and non-living things. In our last video I have taught you about the characteristics of living and non-living things. So we will continue with the same topic. Okay. Now the next characteristics of living things is respiration. That is, all the living things, they show respiration, whether it is a plant or a animal. Like for example, see, we continuously work day and night. हम दिन रात काम करते रहते हैं, ठीक है. Like we do running, we do exercises, then we do the household work. The ladies in the house, they do a lot of household work. Then your father, they go out and work continuously. तो ये सारे काम करने की ताकत हमें कहाँ से मिलती है? Obviously from the food. अगर आप खाना नहीं खाएंगे तो आपको ताकत नहीं मिलेगी. You will not get energy to do work. So we need energy to do work. And from where do we get this energy? ये energy हमको मिलती है फूड को ब्रेक डाउन करके. द फूड विच वी ईट, इट इज़ ब्रोकन डाउन इनटू इट्स सिंपलर फॉर्म. और जब ये फूड सिंपलर फॉर्म में ब्रेक डाउन होता है बॉडी में, देन इट रिलीजेस एनर्जी. एंड दिस ब्रेक डाउन ऑफ द फूड इज इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन. जब हम लोग ब्रीद इन करते हैं तो उसके साथ हम लोग के अंदर कौन सी गैस जाती है? ऑक्सीजन गोज इनसाइड आवर बॉडी, और अंदर जा कर के वो हमारे फूड को ब्रेक डाउन करने में हेल्प करती है. सो दिस प्रोसेस ऑफ ब्रेकिंग डाउन ऑफ द फूड टू रिलीज एनर्जी इज नोन एज रेस्पिरेशन. एंड फॉर दिस प्रोसेस वी नीड ऑक्सीजन. दैट इज़ वाई इवन व्हेन वी आर स्लीपिंग, जब हम सो रहे होते हैं तो भी आप देखिए कि हम ब्रीथ कर रहे होते हैं. वी डू नॉट स्टॉप ब्रीदिंग. हम लोग दिन रात ब्रीथ करते रहते हैं, वेदर वी आर वॉकिंग, टॉकिंग और स्लीपिंग. ऑल द टाइम वी आर ब्रीदिंग, बिकॉज थ्रू ब्रीदिंग वी आर टेकिंग इन ऑक्सीजन, एंड दैट ऑक्सीजन इज ब्रेकिंग डाउन द फूड इनसाइड आवर बॉडी टू प्रोड्यूस energy. Is that clear? Even plants also breathe. How do they breathe? They breathe through their pores. Through the pores, they take in carbon dioxide and they utilize the sun's energy to produce their food. And that food in turn gives them energy. Is that clear? So this is how respiration is a very important characteristic of living things. Whereas when we talk about non-living things बिल्कुल भी breathe नहीं करते. They do not breathe. Have you ever seen a teddy bear breathing? Have you ever seen a toy car breathing? No. They do not show respiration. They do not show breathing process. Breathing is only the process. Okay, it is just the taking in of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide. That is known as breathing. Respiration is the taking in of oxygen to utilize that oxygen to break the food into simpler form to produce energy. That is respiration. So there is a difference between breathing and respiration. Okay, don't get confused. Breathing is simply just taking in of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide. Okay, whereas in respiration we utilize the oxygen and produce energy. Okay, so non-living things, they do not show respiration. Okay, now we move on to the next characteristic, excretion. Now living things, they show excretion. That is, whatever food we take in, whatever we consume in, we throw it out in the form of urea. We throw it out in the form of यूरिया. ओके, दैट इज़ ब्रोकन डाउन थ्रू सम मेटाबॉलिक प्रोसेसेस. हमारे बॉडी में अलग अलग प्रोसेस होते हैं जिसमें कि फूड को ब्रेक डाउन किया जाता है, और फिर जो नाइट्रोजेनियस वेस्ट हमारे बॉडी में कलेक्ट होता है वो हमारे बॉडी से निकालना ज़रूरी होता है. इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू थ्रो आउट दैट नाइट्रोजेनियस वेस्ट बिकॉज दैट इज़ टॉक्सिक फॉर आवर बॉडी. वो हमारे बॉडी के लिए खतरनाक है. सो इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू थ्रो आउट दैट नाइट्रोजेनियस waste, and the process of throwing out the nitrogenous waste is called excretion. और इसी process को हम कहते हैं excretion, जिसमें कि nitrogenous waste को living things अपने body से बाहर निकालते हैं. Okay, now it is done mostly in the form of urine in the animals. If you see the animals, they throw out the nitrogenous waste in the form of urine. Okay. In case of plants, if we see the plants, they also throw out waste, but in other form. They throw out waste in the form of gums and raisins. You will see that there are certain plants on which you will see that there is some sticky substance sticking on the trunk of the plant, on the bark of the plant or tree, you can say. Okay, so that sticky substance which you find on the bark of the plant or on the trunk of the plant is known as gum or raisins. Is that clear? So this is how the plants, they throw out their waste. Whereas if we talk about non-living things do not excrete. Have you ever seen a toy car showing excretion? No. Have you ever seen your teddy bear going to the toilet to urinate? No. So non-living things do not excrete. Okay. Okay. Now we move on to next point. Okay. Now we move on to next point, that is responsiveness. Response to stimuli. That is, children, that if suppose if I call you in the kitchen and I ask you to touch a hot pressure cooker, you don't know that it is hot, but if you touch, what will be your reaction? Immediately you are going to remove your hand from the cooker. You will immediately remove your hand. Why? Because when you touched the cooker, you felt that it is hot. So you removed your hand. What is this? This is your response towards that hot pressure cooker. And what is the hot pressure cooker? It is the stimuli. It is the stimuli. So if you see around in your environment, you will see that there are different kinds of stimuli around you. Is that clear? Which provoke responsiveness in you. जो कि आपके अंदर responsiveness को जगाते हैं. तो ये stimuli जो आपके आसपास है वो क्या है? That is light, temperature, heat, then sound. So there are different kinds of stimuli around you. Is that clear? Okay, and you react to that stimuli. Like for example, if you see a dog on the road and you pick up a stone, immediately you pick up a stone. What will that dog do? The dog immediately tries to run away from you. Okay, so that stone, picking up of the stone is a stimuli for the dog, and the response of the dog is running away from there. Is that clear? Okay. Now in your house, when your mother cooks something delicious for you, from the smell of that food, what happens? आपके मुंह में पानी आने लगता है. उस खाने के स्मेल से आपके मुंह में पानी आने लगता है. तो उससे क्या हुआ? The smell of the food is the stimuli, and what is your response? The watering of your mouth is your response. Is that clear? So living things, they show responsiveness to different stimuli. Like if you are sitting in your classroom and your teacher enters in the classroom, what do? Immediately you stand up from your chair. Immediately you stand up. Why? To show respect to your teacher. Okay, you stand up to wish her. So what was the stimulus? The entry of the teacher is the stimulus. And what is the response over here? You're standing up. That is the response. Is that clear? Same way, children, plants also show response to stimulus. Like I told you, sunflower moves towards the light. Wherever the light goes, the face of the flower moves in that direction. So that flower is showing response to stimuli. The stimuli is light over here, and the response of the flower is moving its face in the direction of the light. Okay. Same way, your touch me not plant, that is Lajvanti. Okay. If you touch the leaves of that plant, what happens? The leaves, they close themselves. They droop down. So touching is the stimuli, and the response is closing of the leaves and drooping down. That is the response of the plant. Is that clear? But if we talk about non-living things के अंदर response to stimuli नहीं होता है. Suppose a car is lying on the floor, a toy car is lying on your floor, and you are crossing from there and you are going to hit the car with your leg. Will that car run away on its own? No, the car will keep lying over there. That remote control car will keep lying there because उसको नहीं पता कि आपका पैर उस पे पड़ जाएगा और कार टूट जाएगी. So the non-living things, they do not show response to stimuli. Okay, I hope it is very clear to you. Okay, now we move on to our next characteristic. The last characteristic of living thing is reproduction. Now what is reproduction? Reproduction is a process in which living things produce their own kind. Is that clear? Now why reproduction is important in living things? See, all the animals and plants, they have a definite lifespan. उनका एक fixed lifespan होता है, ठीक है? After that lifespan, they die. और अगर इसी तरह सब ख़त्म होते गए, मरते गए, तो a day will come when that species will no more exist in the world. Is that clear? So उनकी रेस को या उनकी स्पीशीज़ को कंटिन्यू रखने के लिए, ताकि आगे कई पीढ़ियों तक उनका रेस चलता रहे, उनकी रेस आगे बढ़ती रहे, टू कंटिन्यू देयर स्पीशी, they need to reproduce. That is, they need to produce their young ones. And same thing you will notice in case of plants also. Plants, they produce seed, and from that seed, what comes out? A new plant comes out. So plants produce seed in order to continue their species, in order to continue their race. Same way, mammals, they give birth to the young ones. Like dogs, they give birth to puppies. Cats, they give birth to kittens. Okay, mammals, they give birth to young ones. Whereas in case of birds, they give eggs, and from that egg comes out a small tiny chick. Okay, so this is how reproduction takes place in case of animals and plants. Whereas if we talk about non-living things do not reproduce. They do not produce their young ones. Like suppose you have a teddy bear at home. Now one day in the morning when you woke up, oh, and what did you see? That there's another baby of teddy bear lying beside your bed, next to you, sleeping next to you. Does it happen? No, because that teddy bear is a non-living thing. So how can it produce its own kind? They cannot produce their own kind. Is that clear? Whereas living things, they produce their own kind. So these are some of the characteristics which by studying these characteristics, we can find the difference between living things and non-living things. So here we end with this chapter, and I hope this this video makes everything clear to you, that what are the characteristics of living things and what are the characteristics of non-living things. So by studying these characteristics, you can easily identify that yes, this is a living thing and this is a non-living thing. Is that clear, children? So that's all for today. I hope my video has helped you a lot in your living and non-living chapter. And if you have any doubts related to this chapter, you can post your questions. I will try my best as soon as possible to answer your queries. Okay? Okay, that's all for today.